Little boy vanished on Halloween in 1994. 20 years later, his mom makes a shocking discovery. Maplewood, Illinois was the kind of town where nothing ever happened until it did. 11-year-old Jacob Mercer stood by the window of his family's modest one-story home, his cheap plastic skeleton costume hanging from his wiry frame. He tapped his fingers against the cold glass, waiting for his best friend, Tyler, who was always late. Behind him, the TV mumbled something about crime rates in Chicago, but his mother, Lisa, wasn't paying attention. She was too busy ironing his dad's work shirt. Henry Mercer was a trucker, gone more than he was home. Jacob shifted his candy bucket from one hand to the other. "Mom, can I just go already?" "Tyler's always late." Lisa shot him a look. "You stay on the main streets and you stick with Tyler. Do not go near the train yard, you hear me?" Jacob groaned. That place is boring anyway. At 7:14 p.m., Tyler finally appeared under the flickering streetlight. Lisa leaned into Jacob, fixing the crooked mask on his face and whispering, "Don't stay out past 9. Jacob bolted out the door. She watched them walk off, laughing, heading south toward Oak Ridge Avenue. The night swallowed them whole. The first sign that something was wrong came at 9:20 p.m. Lisa had just started folding laundry when she noticed the time. She called Tyler's house. His mother, Susan, answered groggily. "Tyler's already in bed," she said. "He came home alone around 8:30. Thought Jacob came back already." The phone slipped from Lisa's hands. She raced outside barefoot, calling her son's name. The town was still buzzing with leftover Halloween energy, teens lighting firecrackers, porch lights shutting off, but there was no Jacob. She called the police. By 10 p.m., cruisers rolled through the neighborhood. Officers questioned neighbors, children, and parents. Someone said they saw Jacob and Tyler on Pine Avenue. Another thought they saw Jacob heading toward the railroad yard alone after an argument. Lisa's heart dropped. At midnight, searchlights lit up the abandoned train yard. Lisa stood behind the police tape, fists clenched so tightly her knuckles turned white. They found his candy bucket near an old rusted boxcar. The handle snapped. No Jacob. In the following days, the town came together like it always did in times of crisis. Volunteers combed the fields and nearby woods. Police dogs tracked a scent to an underpass that ran beneath Route 12, but it ended there. Henry rushed back from Ohio when he heard. His eyes were hollow. He didn't cry, he just paced, muttering about the cops not doing enough. He picked a fight with one of the officers, demanding to know why they weren't questioning the drifters, who sometimes hung out by the underpass. By the second week, the media had descended. Jacob's photo was on milk cartons. Lisa stopped eating. She stopped sleeping. On the 14th day, Henry left again, saying he needed to clear his head. He never came back. Lisa stayed. She kept Jacob's room untouched, exactly as it was, sheets unwashed, desk lamp still tilted just how he liked it. Every day, she'd sit on the porch and watch the street, waiting. The town eventually moved on. Halloween decorations came down. Snow fell, families laughed again. But Lisa never did. In 1995, the police case went cold. In 1999, her house was broken into. 2 teenagers looking for drug money trashed Jacob's room. Lisa chased them out with a baseball bat and called the police. She insisted they dust for prints. What if they had something to do with Jacob? But they didn't listen. She grew harder after that. She got a gun license, bought a revolver. People in town thought she'd finally gone mad. They whispered about her at the grocery store. By 2002, Lisa had started her own search. She kept binders, rows of them, filled with maps, lists, articles, and photographs of known offenders in a 300-mile radius. She tracked down men released from prison. She visited halfway houses, shelters, seedy motels. She knew the cops had long stopped caring. In 2006, she almost killed a man. He was a 47-year-old drifter living in a camper behind a mechanic shop 2 towns over. His name was Leon Packer. Lisa found out he'd been arrested twice before, once in '93 for attempted kidnapping, and once in '96 for loitering near a middle school. His face reminded her of someone, a vague memory from one of those old news interviews. Lisa waited for him in the alley behind the gas station where he worked. She didn't mean to pull the gun, not at first. But when he said, "You looking for your little boy, lady?" Something inside her snapped. She raised the revolver to his chest. He laughed, drunk. The clerk called 911. Lisa was arrested for brandishing a weapon, but the charges didn't stick. Her lawyer argued emotional trauma. She didn't care. From that day on, Lisa stopped relying on the law. By 2010, Lisa moved into a smaller home. Her body was weaker, but her mind was razor sharp. She took online courses on investigative work, surveillance, even self-defense. Her garage was filled with boxes of records. Every night, she scoured forums, checked missing child reports, tracked the names of anyone arrested in the area from 1990 to 1996. Some nights, she dreamed of Jacob, older, his hair longer, his voice deeper. In those dreams, he always smiled, always said the same thing. "Mom, you're so close." Lisa woke up sweating. In 2013, on the eve of the 19th anniversary of Jacob's disappearance, she received an anonymous envelope. No return address. Inside was a Polaroid, old, faded. It showed a group of boys lined up against a cinder block wall. Most of them were shirtless, a few were crying. In the far right corner, half in shadow, stood a boy in a plastic skeleton costume. Lisa's hands shook. It had to be Jacob. She flipped the photo over. Scribbled in black ink was one word: alive. She screamed. The police didn't believe it was recent. They dismissed it as a cruel prank. Lisa didn't argue. She knew better. Someone wanted her to find something, and she would. Before we continue, let us know in the comments where you are watching from today and what time you are currently watching this video. If you enjoy stories like this, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more. Lisa stared at the Polaroid for hours that night. Her eyes burned, her heart thudded with an old fire that hadn't raged in years. The boy in the costume, she was almost certain, was Jacob. His small frame, the way he stood, even the slant in his shoulders. It was him, or it had to be. She didn't sleep. By morning, the photo was in a plastic sleeve, and Lisa had already started packing her bag. She drove straight to Springfield, the nearest city where she could access public records without getting flagged. She'd stopped trusting local cops long ago. The envelope had a postmark from Gary, Indiana. That's where she started. She booked a cheap motel off Route 20. The room smelled of bleach and stale cigarettes. She didn't care. It had Wi-Fi and working locks. That was enough. For the next 6 days, Lisa hit every place where troubled kids might have passed through: runaway shelters, youth homes, closed schools. She walked into dingy buildings with peeling paint and asked questions. Most people brushed her off. Others just shook their heads. But one place, an old juvenile hall turned social services office, gave her something. A list of names from 1994 to 1997. She scanned every one. And there it was, J. Mercer, listed as unverified intake, checked in on November 2nd, 1994. The record ended abruptly. No date of release. No forwarding information. Just transferred to private custody, undisclosed location. Lisa copied the document. Her hands trembled as she folded it into her notebook. This was real. Someone took her son. Hid him, legally. It didn't make sense. She drove back to Maplewood that night. On the way, a dark gray sedan followed her for 15 miles before turning off. Coincidence, maybe. Still, she ran 2 red lights just to shake it. Back home, she scanned the photo into her laptop, uploaded it into a facial recognition database she had access to through a retired private investigator friend. Nothing came up. The photo was too old, too blurry. Then she tried something else. She uploaded the image to an online missing persons forum anonymously. Within 3 days, she got a reply. A user with the name Riverdog73 sent her a private message. "I recognize the wall in that photo. It's an old storage facility outside Calumet City. The building's still there, but people don't go near it." Lisa drove out the next morning. It was raining hard when she reached the address. The building was run down, surrounded by rusted barbed wire and broken security lights. She pulled up, grabbed her revolver from the glove box, and tucked it into her coat. Her fingers hovered on the grip as she walked through the side gate that someone had bent open years ago. The air inside the warehouse was thick with mildew and silence. Each step echoed through the hollow space. She found the wall from the photo near the back, a large concrete section with faded graffiti and rotting wooden pallets stacked in front of it. She moved them one by one, and then she saw it. A hole, not large, just wide enough for a child to crawl through. Beyond it, a staircase descended into darkness. Lisa took out her flashlight. The beam cut through the black like a knife. She stepped down slowly, her other hand resting on the butt of her gun. Her foot hit solid ground after 7 steps. A door stood ahead, metal, dented, covered in old posters. She tried the knob. Locked. She backed up, looked around, then spotted a loose metal rod near the corner. She wedged it between the frame and the door, pushing with her full weight. The hinges groaned. After several hard shoves, the door popped open. Inside was a room no bigger than a large closet. The walls were lined with photographs. Polaroids, hundreds of them. Children, some smiling, some crying, some unconscious. Lisa's stomach flipped. In the center of the room sat a wooden chair. On it, a thick leather-bound notebook. She opened it. Names, ages, intake dates, locations. She flipped the pages until her breath caught. Page 47. Jacob Mercer, 11 years. Halloween 1994. Reclaimed asset status. Transported, cleared. CC-47 facility. Lisa's mind reeled. What the hell was reclaimed asset? And what was CC-47? She took photos of every page. Every photo. Stuffed the notebook into her coat and ran. Back at the motel, she started printing. She created a timeline connecting the dots between each reclaimed asset and their locations. She found a pattern. Every few years, kids were taken in clusters. Always around Halloween, always boys. Always within 200 miles. She was in the middle of drawing red lines across a map when the gunshot hit her window. Glass exploded. Lisa hit the floor hard. The revolver was still in her bag by the dresser. She belly crawled across the carpet, grabbed it, and took position behind the side table. Another shot blasted through the wall. Someone was out there. She reached up slowly and flipped off the light. Darkness fell like a curtain. A third shot rang out. This one hit the bathroom mirror. Then silence. Lisa stayed frozen for nearly 5 minutes. Then she heard tires screech and an engine roar. She stood slowly, shaking, and crawled to the window. The gray sedan from earlier peeled away down the wet street. Her chest pounded. She was no longer chasing shadows. Someone was watching her. They wanted her to stop. And that only made her more determined. The next day, she called someone she hadn't spoken to in years, her nephew Marcus, a former Marine turned private security contractor. He owed her his life. "I need backup," she told him. "I think I found something big. And it's not just Jacob. There are more kids." "Where are you?" Marcus asked, his voice already shifting into command mode. "Calumet City, I'll send you coordinates." He arrived 2 days later in a black SUV with tinted windows and an AR-15 under his jacket. The moment Lisa showed him the files, he nodded grimly. "This isn't just trafficking," Marcus said. "This looks military grade, like someone's running a program under the radar." Lisa swallowed hard. "I'm not stopping. Not until I find out what happened to my son." Marcus checked his gear, his face set like stone. "Then we'd better be ready for war." Marcus parked the SUV 2 blocks away from the old warehouse. He didn't like drawing attention. Lisa sat beside him in the passenger seat, her knees bouncing from nerves. She clutched a copy of the leather-bound logbook. In it, Jacob's name stared up at her like it was burned into the page. "This CC-47 facility," Marcus said, adjusting his earpiece. "We need to find it without raising alarms." Lisa nodded, wiping her palms on her jeans. "I've searched for it online. No results. Not under that name." "It's not a name," Marcus said. "It's a code." He opened a laptop in the back seat and typed fast. After 10 minutes, he looked up. CC-47 is an abbreviation used in old DHS files. It stands for Containment Compound 47. Decommissioned in 1998, supposedly. Lisa leaned closer. "Where is it?" Marcus zoomed in on the map. "Northern Illinois, 30 miles from here, near a closed-down power station." She didn't hesitate. "Let's go." The drive took an hour. As they neared the location, fog rolled in thick off the lake. Trees closed in on both sides. The GPS blinked red, no signal. But Marcus didn't slow down. His eyes scanned everything. They stopped at a locked chain-link gate with faded U.S. government warning signs. A fence stretched out on both sides. Beyond it, dense woods and what looked like 2 abandoned buildings tucked into the trees. Marcus stepped out, rifle over his back, bolt cutters in hand. With a loud snap, the gate fell open. They rolled through and parked under thick brush. "We go on foot from here," Marcus said. Lisa followed him across a clearing. The air smelled of mold and copper. Her heart thudded with every step. She was walking into a place tied to her worst nightmare. They reached the first building. A rusted plaque read Unit B Research. The door was bolted shut, but Marcus pried it open with a crowbar. Inside was dust, paper, and silence. They split up. Lisa moved through the hallways, flashlight beam cutting across cracked linoleum. She opened old filing cabinets. Most of the papers were water damaged, but one binder was sealed in plastic. She opened it, photos, notes, intake forms, boys aged 8 to 14, handwritten notes beside each file. High tolerance, resistant to sedation. Transferred November 1994. Lisa flipped the page. Jacob Mercer entry, 11/1 1994 notes, physically healthy. Subject displayed resistance to questioning. Held in isolation for 5 weeks. Status, level 2 transport, her breath caught. She shoved the file into her coat just as Marcus called out. "Lisa, come here now," she ran toward his voice. He was down a staircase in a lower level, holding a flashlight over a large vault-like door. "This was sealed from the inside," he said, pointing to the bolts. Marcus pulled open the door. A cold breeze pushed out. The room inside was different, clean, sterile. The lights worked. Rows of lockers lined the walls. Cots folded against the far end. Surveillance equipment sat dusty on desks. Someone had been running this place like a lab. Marcus checked the monitors. There's a backup power source. Underground generator still running. Lisa walked toward the wall covered in photos. Polaroids again, but newer. These weren't from the 90s. Some were as recent as 2005. Same format, boys ages 8 to 14. Same labels, transported, cleared, undisclosed. "We need to find out where these kids went," Marcus said. "They didn't stay here long," Lisa nodded. "Maybe there's a control room." They searched every room in the building. In the third room down the hall, Marcus found a locked steel cabinet. He picked it with a tension wrench. Inside were folders marked route logs and cargo records. He flipped to October 1994. There it was. Cargo code 117 JM pickup, Maplewood, Illinois destination. Station Bravo transport status, completed escort, K. Farrow and D. Leeds. Marcus took a photo of the record. "We need to find this Station Bravo." Just then they heard movement. Both froze, footsteps, heavy, coming from above. Marcus shut the cabinet quietly and drew his rifle. He motioned for Lisa to get low. They crept out into the hallway. Voices echoed down the staircase. "Check the basement." Anderson said someone triggered the backup. Marcus whispered, "2 men, armed." Lisa's heart hammered. Marcus pointed to a door. They ducked inside an old supply closet. From the small crack, Lisa saw 2 men in tactical gear sweep through with flashlights and suppressed pistols. They stopped near the file room. One muttered, "That cabinet's open." "Someone's here," the other said. "Sweep left, I'll take the exit." Marcus looked at Lisa, whispering, "We can't stay. We'll be boxed in." She pointed toward the air vent. It was tight but doable. Marcus dropped his bag, shoved his rifle through the vent first, then helped Lisa climb up. She crawled on her belly as quietly as she could. The vent groaned under her weight, but she kept moving. A bang echoed below. They'd opened the closet door. "They're gone," one said. "Check the generator room." Lisa pushed forward faster. The vent ended in a maintenance tunnel. They dropped down, landed hard on their feet, and bolted through the passageway. A locked hatch blocked the exit, but Marcus kicked it hard twice until it cracked open. They tumbled out into the woods just 50 yards from the SUV. Marcus started the engine without headlights and reversed down the dirt road. A sharp turn later, they were on the main road again. Lisa gasped for air, her arms trembled. "That was close," Marcus muttered. "We have names," she said. "Records, proof." He nodded. "They'll know we were there, which means they'll be coming for us." Lisa looked out the window, the moon flashing between tree branches. "We're not backing down, not now, not ever." 2 days after the escape from the compound, Lisa sat alone in a cheap motel room on the edge of Chicago. The blinds were shut, her hands were shaking. She couldn't sleep, couldn't think straight. Marcus was in the next room, reviewing footage from the USB drives they'd taken. Files, names, routes, all linking children to secret facilities disguised as logistics warehouses. Lisa had spent the last 48 hours going through everything they'd collected. And then she found it. A folder labeled Bravo Facility Transfer, 1994. She opened the video file inside. Her heart stopped. It was grainy footage, black and white. A room with metal walls. A man entered, wearing a white coat. Behind him, a boy, thin and barefoot, with a number stitched on his shirt, 117 JM, the date in the corner, 11/02/1994. The boy turned toward the camera for a split second. It was Jacob. His eyes were wide, confused, not crying, but terrified. Lisa slammed her hand over her mouth. Her son had been alive, at least for a little while after Halloween night. She rushed to Marcus's room, her laptop still open in her hands. I found him. Marcus took the laptop. He watched the clip in silence, then zoomed in on the background. "There's a clock," he said. "If we can match the wall and furniture style to anything in the old DHS layouts, we might narrow down where this video was taken." They ran it through AI-enhanced analysis. It returned a possible match. Bravo Logistics Depot, Mason City, Iowa. Decommissioned in 1997. Marcus packed immediately. If he was taken there might still be files, something. Lisa didn't hesitate. The next morning they drove west. 4 hours on the road, then through a broken gate and into another abandoned site. The depot looked more like a small prison, windowless and dead quiet. They entered through a rusted side door. Marcus held his gun ready. Lisa stayed close. The inside reeked of oil and mildew. Desks were overturned. A few old radios and monitors sat under a blanket of dust. They searched everything. Then in the basement, Marcus found a rusted metal box tucked behind broken drywall. Inside were paper logs, damp but legible. One entry stopped them cold. Subject 117 JM status, cleared for civilian transition 11/06/1994, alias assigned Daniel K. Monroe, relocation approved, Tier 2 adoption program. Lisa's legs buckled. "What does that mean?" Marcus stared at the page. They gave him a new identity, sent him to a foster family. Her hands shook as she flipped through the pages. One file held an address, Cedar Rapids, Iowa. "Let's go," Lisa said, already walking back to the truck. They pulled up to a modest house on a quiet suburban street, blue shutters, well-kept yard, kids' bikes in the driveway. Marcus parked across the street. Lisa couldn't breathe. "What if it's not him?" she whispered. Marcus looked at her. "There's only one way to find out." Lisa walked up the driveway, legs trembling with every step. She knocked. A woman answered. Mid-60s, kind face. "Can I help you?" Lisa struggled for words. I'm looking for Daniel Monroe. Does he live here?" The woman's expression shifted. "Who's asking?" Lisa opened her mouth, but before she could speak, a man stepped up behind the woman. Tall, clean-shaven, sharp jawline, early 30s, short brown hair. "Yes, I'm Daniel." Lisa stared at him. It was like seeing Jacob all over again. Same eyes, same chin. She couldn't hold it in. "Your name used to be Jacob. Jacob Mercer. You were taken in 1994. Daniel's eyes narrowed. "I don't know what you're talking about." Lisa pulled out the old photo from her purse, the last Halloween Jacob ever had. "A small boy in a cowboy costume. You were taken from me. Halloween night. I'm your mother." The air seemed to leave the porch. Daniel looked at the photo, slowly, quietly. His eyes filled with something, fear, confusion, pain. The woman beside him stepped back. I don't remember that," Daniel said quietly. "I do," Lisa whispered. "Your favorite cereal was Frosted Flakes. You hated the dentist. You had a scar on your right knee from falling off the jungle gym." He staggered backward, sat down on the porch step. "I've had dreams, memories, but I thought they were just nightmares," he said. "I saw a room, white walls, men in coats. I never told anyone." Lisa knelt in front of him. "You were taken, and you were changed, but you're still my son." Tears filled his eyes. "I always felt something wasn't right." Behind them, a black SUV turned the corner. Marcus noticed first, inside. Lisa and Daniel ran into the house. Marcus slammed the door and locked it. Inside, Daniel pulled out a box from under the couch. "I have old stuff, things I was told never to talk about." He opened the box. Inside photos, government documents, a medical file marked Project Transition 117JM. Marcus scanned it quickly. They erased part of your memory, early experiments in suppression. Gunshots rang outside. They dropped to the floor. Marcus aimed his weapon. Back door now. They fled through the kitchen and out the rear exit. The yard had a fence. Marcus helped Lisa and Daniel over. Bullets cracked the air. He returned fire, hitting one of the men behind the SUV. Another dove for cover. They ran through the neighboring yard, ducking through alleyways until they reached Marcus's truck. As they sped off, Daniel sat in the back seat, holding the photo of his 5-year-old self. Lisa turned around. I never stopped looking. Daniel wiped his face, stunned. I didn't know I was lost. Lisa reached back, gripping his hand. You're not anymore. If you like this story, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Also, another, to strengthen our community, let us know in the comments where you are watching from and what time you are currently watching this video.